let's see, there's one other thing I wanted to tell you guys about, something that I didn't even know about, and that one of my customers, Gordon, thank you Gordon, figured out for me, is that when you have a Teensysaber, the auxiliary button cycles you through from one blade preset to the next, and you get that noise. But I always thought that if you wanted to go to a previous preset, you had to reset it to get back to the beginning, but you don't. All you have to do is hold the power button down and then hit the auxiliary button and it goes the other direction. Of course, with this specific lightsaber, it's a little tricky because these two buttons, I actually glued them together so that they would remain lined up. So there's like an axis here, almost an axle that, you know, they go this way versus each other. So to actually do that, is a little tricky. There we go. So you listen for the sound. There you go. And that just went backwards three blades. And that's just really handy. You know, it's not a big deal, but it's really handy because if you went, you know, if you're looking for blade number 13 out of 15 that you have on here, and you hit the button a bunch of times and you jump to 14 by mistake, you don't have to go back to the beginning and go all the way through to 13 again. You can just hold the power and hit the auxiliary button to go back one. And that's really cool. So again, thank you Frederick for being really smart and designing this sound card extremely well. I guess that's about it for this guy. What else to tell you guys? One other thing. Two other things. First of all, for those of you guys who are interested in getting this but haven't yet, it's really done well. Korbanth did a great job, and the machining is great. Like, watch how that spins. Like, you can just spin it really hard once, and it'll go all the way, the whole length of the threads. Like, that just shows how well machined this guy is. The other thing to show you guys is the speaker. This is the speaker area underneath the pommel cap here. It has, I'm not exactly sure why it was done this way, but it's got this really nice chromed chassis section around it, and then a steel section in the middle that houses the speaker. And the speaker that I went with on this guy was a 25mm 2-watt 8-ohm speaker that I sourced off AliExpress. Great website, but again, bigger speaker than the typical Korbanth build. Typically you end up with a 20mm premium bass speaker from the custom saber shop, and that's a nice speaker, but it's kinda tiny and it's a little wimpy. This is 25mm, 25% bigger than that speaker. That's kind of a massive size upgrade, even though it doesn't look like much. 25% upgrade is really big when you're dealing with something that small. So this has got a pretty substantial speaker in it, considering how tiny this saber and this hilt is. And I guess that's the other thing to show you guys. A little side-by-side size comparison. This guy is, it's tiny. I mean, it's not too small. It's, I think, accurate. Here is an oldie but a goodie from back in time. This is a Prodigal Son Hilt. I'll do a little side-by-side with the two of them so you guys can get a sense of size here. This top section, the Prodigal Son is half an inch longer, and it's actually the same width. Clamp cards are just about the same exact size. The grenade section, first of all, the rings, the bands on this guy are significantly thinner, probably 50% thinner than this guy, and the whole section itself is just basically shortened, compacted. It looks like they just kind of took the saber and smushed it down 20%, 25%. But, you know, aesthetically they're both really nice. They're both really accurate. and there's not a lot of difference to look at them. They're very similar looking, but, you know, side by side, you can see the size difference there. I mean, it's pretty substantial. At the end of the day, you're looking at about 1.5 inches longer on the Saberforge hilt. Side by side with the graflex. I didn't say to do that. Side by side with the graflex. That's literally exactly the same size. So that's really cool. I mean, as far as being accurate with the Star Wars canon, you know, these hilts are just about identical in size, width, etc., which is great. And this Return of the Jedi is not an easy hilt to make accurate and to make to this scale, because you got to cram a lot of stuff in here, and you got to have the thin neck, but you got to still make it work with a blade that's sturdy, functional, etc., so kudos, Korbanth. Really terrific job on this build. Tough to say which one is my favorite between the Korbanth and the Saberforge. I think I like the Saberforge a little better because I like that it's a little bit bigger. Nonetheless, this is, I think, more accurate. With this guy, the thing I like about this guy is it, you know what? It just looks more 70s to me. Like, if one of these was a lightsaber at a disco, and one of these was a lightsaber at a jazz club, disco, for sure. This is just screaming 1977. Mark Hamill is dreaming about owning me in 1982. So, I like them both a lot. I really do, but this is my favorite guy. Alright guys, thanks for watching. What's coming up next? Sorry to give you a preview, but next up on the build list is going to be a Mentor graflex build, as well as an Anakin build. I have not done one of these yet, just waiting for the parts to come in, but I'm doing one of these guys now, and it is going to be all done in rhodium and gold and some polished brass, but we're going to do it Teensysaber with Neopixels, and we're going to 86 the spinning crystal chamber bit, because to me, spinning crystal chambers on lightsabers are like having 22-inch spinning rims on a Kia. You know, it's just, no, there's nothing else to say about that. After that guy, or maybe before, MK1 with the stock designed crystal chamber and a Rudy Pando crystal chamber. That's coming next. I'm just waiting on Rudy's crystal chambers to be finished. I've got 10 of them coming. 3 of them are already spoken for, but if any of you guys need an MK1